USPAP page 140, Advisory Opinion 26, AO-26. This communication by the Appraisal Standards Board, ASB, does not establish new standards or interpret existing standards. Advisory opinions are issued to illustrate the applicability of appraisal standards in specific situations and to offer advice from the ASB for the resolution of appraisal issues and problems. Subject: readdressing, which means transferring a report to another party. Application: real property, personal property, and intangible property. The issue: after an assignment has been completed and the report has been delivered, an appraiser may be asked to readdress, which means transfer, the report to another party. Does USPAP allow an appraiser to readdress, transfer a report by altering it to indicate a new recipient as the client or additional intended user when the original report was completed for another party? Advice from the USB on this issue. Relevant USPAP and advisory references. The confidentiality and conduct sections of the ethics rule. Standards rules such as 1-2A and 1-2B, 7-2A and 7-2B, and 9-2A and 9-2B, which require an appraiser to identify the client, intended users, and intended use. Standards rules such as 2-1A, A-1A, 10-1A, which require an appraiser to clearly and accurately set forth the appraisal in a manner that is not misleading. Scope of work rule, which requires an appraiser to ascertain whether other laws, or regulations apply to the assignment in addition to USPAP. Advisory Opinion 25, which covers clarification of the client in a federally related transaction. Advisory Opinion 27, which addresses appraising the same property for a new client. Advisory Opinion 36, identification and disclosure of client intended use and intended users. Comments: no. Once a report has been prepared for a named clients and any other identified intended users and for an identified intended use, the appraiser cannot readdress, which means transfer, the report to another party. USPAP defines client as the party or parties who engage by employment or contract an appraiser in a specific assignment, bold, added for emphasis. Comment: the client may be an individual, group, or entity and may engage and communicate with the appraiser directly or through an agent. Assignment is defined as a valuation service that is provided by an appraiser as a consequence of an agreement with a client. Bold, added for emphasis. Intended use is defined as the uses of an appraiser's reported appraisal or appraisal review assignment results as identified by the appraiser board on communication with the client at the time of the assignment. Bold, added for emphasis. Intended user is defined as the client and any other party as identified by name or type as users of the appraisal or appraisal review report by the appraiser based on communication with the client at the time of the assignment. Bold, added for emphasis. Page 141. Identification of the client and any other intended users and the intended use are key elements in all assignments. Because these identifications drive the appraiser's scope of work decision, as well as other elements of the assignment, they must be determined at the time of the assignment. They cannot be modified after an assignment has been completed. See Advisory Opinion 36 for further clarification. Illustrations. Question number 1. An appraiser was engaged by client A to appraise a property. The appraiser delivered the appraisal report to client A. The client has decided not to pursue the transaction that generated the need for the appraisal report. The appraiser is contacted by client B. Client B requests that the original report be readdressed, which means transferred, by replacing client A's name with client B's name in the report. Is this acceptable? Answer: no. Simply changing the client name on the report cannot change or replace the original appraiser-client relationship that was established with client A. Therefore, this action is misleading. Question number 2. How can this circumstance be handled according to standards? Answer: the appraiser can consider client B's request as a new assignment. In doing so, the appraiser may establish a new appraiser-client relationship with client B and appraise the property for the new client. Important considerations, for instance, confidential information and other factors, are further addressed in Advisory Opinion 27. Appraising the same property for a new client. Question number 3. Why might client B want their name on the report that was completed for client A? Answer: client B may want to establish an appraiser-client relationship because it provides all the rights, obligations, and liabilities, such as relationship places on the appraiser. A prudent method to establish an appraiser-client relationship is to have a written engagement letter or contract with any client at the time of the assignment.